The mystery at Toon Town grows, things are getting vertical at Pelican Landing, the refurb continues at Finding Nemo Lagoon, Lightning Lane slowly making its way into queues, and Christmas is creeping in to the Disneyland Resort, all coming up next on Fresh Bake. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back for this week's update on construction and ops going on around the Disneyland Resort. And we're starting with this ever-evolving mystery at the Toon Town entrance. Last week, our focus was on this section of the entrance and just what its purpose was. We got lots of suggestions: ADA compliance, extended queue for runaway railway, or just a planter. And then this week, that question gets even more murky with the new concrete and additional rebar in those unfinished areas. So I consulted with a constructionizer friend. You guys might remember Tustin from the before times. He would often help us with identifying things in the construction reports, and we spoke again and we hashed out the possibilities. He said planter was right out. Definitely not a planter. The rebar there suggests more concrete. We agreed that runaway railway was out due to the show building being, it's just, the show building is one giant queue to begin with, much like Rise of the Resistance. So it wouldn't really need or have any need for an extended outdoor queue. Plus there's the virtual queue. ADA is unnecessary due to the already gentle grade, of that Toon Town entrance, and it's obviously more than adequate width in that existing path. And then he offered a suggestion that I hadn't considered: queue for Small World. A couple things this idea has going for it. First, the path definitely has a feeling that it belongs to Fantasyland in Small World and not Toon Town. This is a Fantasyland path. The way the path appears so far, it does kind of feel like it turns left into the Small World loading area. Here's a shot from a few weeks ago, and you can see that the path does turn left, but where to is really we're not certain. And then there's this, and a late-breaking development as I'm writing this. We got this shot Saturday morning. They've poured more concrete. And actually, there's more. Courtesy of Fresh Bake Street Teamer Kevin Brooks, this shot shows new concrete, which definitely rules out any idea of this being a planter, as there's no irrigation visible anywhere. But here's what I thought was really interesting. If we look a little closer, we can see that this path is elevated from the level set by the paving stones to the right. If you consider that ground floor, this path is up, a foot and a half, 2 feet above that. This is a raised walkway. But for what purpose? We do know, or we can tell, that we'll be seeing light poles here because that's some exposed electrical. They'll probably plug in some light poles there, and then more than likely a metal railing, to finish off that walking path. That's going to follow that. So they're definitely trying to create some kind of defined area. I just can't figure out for what purpose. I thought maybe Lightning Lane. This could be for Fast Pass, for Small World. But the only thing that confuses this idea is how awkward it all is. Would Disney intend to route these guests behind the Small World gift shop and then connect it to the existing Small World loading area? I mean, they could, but it seems entirely unnecessarily complicated. Another wrinkle is that we don't actually know how far this path extends, in the Toon Town direction. We know it reaches to at least the rail bridge, because we can see the path, as we look at the shot here. But does it continue on into Toon Town? We can't tell from the ground because of the walls. I mean, obviously we can't see past the rail bridge here. So perhaps on our next trip, I might try and poke the camera out over the rail bridge a bit to see if we can figure out if there's an end, or a beginning, I should say, to that path. Or does it extend all the way to Toon Town? Because that would be a serious wrinkle. If this path connected Toon Town and Small World, that would be an interesting wrinkle. But really, it's all very baffling. In the end, it's probably going to wind up being something very simple and not complicated at all. But boy, it sure is fun to speculate on this, in the process until we find out. So that was fun. And so too is this from Pelican Landing. We've gone vertical, kind of. We've got a whole lot of rebar, and then a series of posts have been installed on the Harbor Galley side of the work site. The posts, though, they're decorative. They're not meant for support of any kind. They're going to wind up looking most likely like these posts here. The posts will likely bracket seating areas. They create definition around them, like this area right here, which is much further along than on the Tom Sawyer side of the site. This I-beam and those two metal brackets are set up to support something substantial, something heavy. So most likely this is seating area. The elevated section that we heard about, I believe that's what this is. And then that area behind it, with all the rebar on the ground, that's going to be concrete walkway. Probably a mix of concrete and paving stones is possible. So there you go. That's your elevated seating area there. And then if we back up a bit, we can see how this walkway, it extends behind more eventual seating area. And then back up a little further, and we get a longer view of the entire space as it unfolds from the harbor galley at the top of the frame right there. Before this construction started, there were tables set up. And that area will simply kind of, it'll be extended along the bank of the river. So imagine those kind of tables, that kind of setup, but just a long string of those tables all the way down near to the Tom Sawyer docks. And with that, I think we can begin to kind of visualize the scope of this project. And that is that it's a modest site. It's not anything overly complicated. It's not this grand thing. It's a fairly modest thing that they're putting together here. And it's going to blend in, I believe, nicely with the existing landscape, while it's going to add a bunch of tables with a riverside view or a view of the Columbia, depending on where you sit, but while also not obstructing the view of the river, which is something that I was concerned about. I don't think that's going to obstruct the view of the river from the walkways, closer to the Haunted Mansion, because it's just going to be tables. It's nothing, that second tier is not going to be super high, super raised, and block any kind of view. So there you go. Pelican Landing coming soon to a Disneyland park near you. Or actually, it's the only one. It's coming soon to just Disneyland. Let's go back to Toon Town. We forgot to check on the Gag Factory. This is a rainy day view. Site looks about the same as before. Here's a shot at night. This is just for fun, because you can't really see anything, but I wanted to see it at night. And then here's a look at some new art that they've put up on the construction walls. No longer those bare blue walls, but they've had a little fun with it. I laughed at that way more than I probably should have. It's before and after. I love before and after. And then I also found this while in Toon Town. That is, your next Lightning Lane signage. There's one like this at Big Thunder as well. And I'm sure by the time we get to the park next, we'll see more of it. That's what I'm looking for, is a Lightning Lane sign at Small World. That's what I want to find. And then we'll have a better idea what they might be doing there. We get to take a run on the monorail to check in on the Finding Nemo Lagoon, but it was a rainy day, so there was nothing going on. Everything was covered. But one thing that we can assume as we look at this is that with all the scaffolding, etc., it's clear that they're doing a detailed update of the reefs, etc. Most likely new paint, as most have speculated. Now, today being Halloween, it is the last day we'll see any Halloween decorations in the park. But New Orleans Square already has a head start, as is custom. Christmas decorations have been arranged throughout, and I have to say it felt really good seeing those decorations up. Christmas at Disneyland is truly special, and I can't wait. Stay tuned, by the way, as I'm putting together a video that's going to show all the Christmas stuff that we've seen in the parks over the years, most all of it anyway. So it's going to be a nice primer for the Christmas season, getting you guys nice and warmed up. And then finally, any hopes of a new King of England may have passed, because Excalibur has been returned to its rightful place in front of King Arthur's carousel. Looks lovely. Okay, that's it, everyone. We'll see you next week. Until then, please be sure to follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. And if you enjoy our show and would like to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. and fresh baked.